In the past couple of months, I have kind of been on a sewing kick, so today I bring you a simple and easy quick sewing project. In my mind, that's what it is. I haven't actually made it yet, but I'm pretty sure that is what it's going to turn out to be. I'm going to be turning this sheer curtain, which I've had for several years now with the plans of making this project, and turning it into a swimsuit cover-up. But not one that like stops like at your thigh, one that kind of goes down to your ankles and looks all cute and like goddessy, you know? I think this is going to be pretty easy. Basically, all I'm going to do is just cut the ends off where the curtain rod would normally go, cut it to the length I want, hem the bottom, and attach like a waistband to tie. No zippers, no buttons. You can definitely hand sew this if you want to, or even use some type of fabric glue if that's what you're more comfortable with. So this is kind of like something that even if you don't know how to sew, you can probably still find a way to make it work. So my first plan of action is to figure out how long I want the skirt to be. It can be a little bit tricky if you're measuring yourself because you do have to bend over in order to get all the way to the bottom of your leg. I am just gonna hold the measuring tape right where I want it. I want mine to start right around like my waist area because most of my bikinis are high-waisted bottoms. And I'm just gonna hold it here and then use my hand to kind of like push it down. And then I'm gonna keep my hand holding the measuring tape in this spot as I bend over so that the measuring tape doesn't move and I get an accurate measurement for how long I want it to be. So I want mine to be probably around 35 inches long. And naturally, depending on how tall or short you are or whatever length you want to make your skirt, go ahead and make it that length because you're making this customized to your own body, which is awesome because nothing fits you better than something that's made specifically for you. In an attempt to make the measuring process a little bit easier on myself, since I don't have the space on my floor to spread this whole curtain out, what I'm gonna do is clip it to my closet doors because if you've ever seen a sewing video of mine or a photography backdrop video or anything like that of mine, you'll know that I have a curtain rod hanging above my closet doors where I hang backdrops all the time. So I'm gonna go ahead and hang up this curtain and measure it while it's hanging on the wall just because I think that's gonna be a bit easier than trying to measure it on the floor. So the other thing is usually these curtains come equipped with one side that has a smaller hole for the curtain rod and then the other end is a little bit thicker. I don't like the thicker end, so I'm gonna make that the bottom where I'm going to cut it off. But for the top, I'm going to be using this top curtain hole for my tie wrap at the top of the skirt. So I'm gonna leave it on there for now just for measuring purposes because this will be on the skirt at the end of the video. So I'm gonna measure it with this as the waistband. Then once I have all the measuring ready to go, I'm gonna take it off of the wall and I'm gonna put it on the floor and use my rotary cutter as well as a cutting mat to make a smooth, even cut. Something that I did forget to mention is that you do actually wanna cut an extra inch off the bottom so that you have enough fabric to fold under for the seam allowance, which we will get to. But just so you're prepared, make sure you have an extra inch. My skirt is gonna be 35 inches long, so I'm gonna cut it 36 inches long, so we have a little bit of wiggle room to fold the seam in. So now that I've cut away the bottom of the skirt, I don't want this section of fabric to become all frayed. So before it gets to that point, I'm gonna fold it over like this, about ½ an inch, and then fold it over again. And then I'm just gonna run the sewing machine along it just right here so that any frayed little pieces are gonna end up inside of this tube and they're not gonna get caught on anything, and the skirt is gonna last a lot longer than it would if it was just open like this. So the bottom of your sheer that you just hemmed should look a little something like this. So now like all like the fraying stuff is gonna stay inside the skirt and she's not gonna go anywhere. Now comes the interesting part. So I will admit that I thought this top loop was a loop that was sewn on separately, but it is actually just a piece of the top that's been folded over. I don't know if that made sense, but that's what it is. But what we're gonna do is seam rip this line of stitching. I'm not gonna cut it because I need the fabric that's folded inside of this because this is gonna be, this chunk, this is gonna be our tie to go around our waist. I want the tie to extend further than the skirt does, and I want the skirt part to fit neatly around my waist. That may not make sense right now, but once I kind of like show you guys what I'm gonna be doing, it will make a lot more sense, I promise you. But first things first, I'm gonna go ahead and seam rip this top section with my trusty dusty seam ripper. I'm not gonna lie though, seam ripping is never usually my favorite thing to do. It's very boring and can take a long time sometimes. These stitches aren't like super crazy tight, so actually I think this might go by pretty quick. Seam ripping does suck sometimes. I will say that. Sometimes it is a necessary element. Now that the curtain hole has been seam ripped so it opens like this, what I'm gonna do is take my rotary cutter and just cut about 1/2 inch extra so that we can remove this whole top section and sew it back on later. But we need a little bit of extra just so that we have some more fabric on the other side to fold under, just like we have right here. All right, it may not seem like it, but we are just about there. So the skirt it's quite long for my waist, like it doesn't fit my waist at all. So we are gonna be making this a little bit smaller, and I do want there to be kind of like an opening right where the leg is so that my leg has a chance to like kind of poke out, because I feel like that look is very flattering. So what I'm gonna do is sew a basting stitch along the top of the skirt where the open hem is, and basically a basting stitch is just a really loose stitch. So once I stitch it across, I can pull the stitching and kind of gather it so that we can get like a bit of a scrunched up look, if that makes sense, rather than the fabric being like just flat against you like this. It's gonna have some nice little like ripples in it, which I think will be flattering and cute as well. And then once we get the desired ruffled look, we can sew the waistband back on and we'll be done. I apologize for the weird angle, but it's already, the camera's already set up. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and pull this string. Like as you can see, like as I'm pulling it, the fabric just gathers like so, and you can just kind of pull it around. So I'm just gonna continue gathering this until it is the length that I desire. Yeah, like I said, I want it to stop around like here so that I have like a gap. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this off camera because honestly it's kind of hard to do it while I'm filming, and then I'll take you guys through the next steps. After you get your gathers fairly even, which is, it's kind of tricky, not gonna lie, then you want to just take your waistband and sandwich your skirt top right inside of your waistband. And don't forget to fold in that section there. Now your waistband is gonna have straps that go further than the actual skirt, so make sure that your straps are, you know, decently even on each side. Then just pin them all the way across. So here we go. This is the finished product. It did turn out a little bit more stiff than I would like just because of the material that it was made out of, but I think it turned out really, really cute for a quick sewing project. And I really like that you can still see your swimsuit through it while still feeling like you're covered up. So let me know in the comments down below if you like how it turned out and if you would wear this to the beach.